Good morning, this is Kim with www.embody-light.com, and I'm going to make a series of videos about chakra function. Chakras are energy vortexes that take in and metabolize energy from the universal source, and they work together to the number 8. So today I'm going to cover the crown and the root, the crown being number 7, the root being number 1. So the crown is actually located in our physical body at the top of our head. Root is at the base of our spine. And the way the energy flows is in a figure 8. Or infinity signal. So it comes in through the crown. So above the crown, we do not have duality. Currently, we do have duality from the crown down. So it comes in through the crown, and it kind of separates here into 2 streams from the crown, and it comes down and it crosses at the heart. And from the heart, it goes the other way, and it goes down to the root and down into the earth and connects us to the earth. Comes back up through the root in the heart and up to the crown, and it's this continual motion. If our chakras were open and flowing all the time, we would never be sick, we would never lack anything, we'd be in constant communication with Source. One of the reasons I wanted to make this video is I got an unsolicited letter from somebody. I looked them up, they live around my area. I don't know who they know who I am or anything. Mrs. Someone, I would say your name if I wanted to call you out, but I'm not going to do that. If you're watching my videos, you know who you are. Anyways, this person was telling me that we could not make connection with Source and that it all had to be done through Yeshua, which is not true. That's what Yeshua taught us how to do when he was on the planet. Connect to Source. And so it's very important that we connect directly to Source. I know this from personal experience. I no longer participate in that, but I grew up Catholic. And, everything was through Yeshua, through Source. Through Yeshua, you had to use Yeshua to get to Source, or a priest, or this. None of that is true. You can get to Source on your own, and you can communicate with Source. And it's really important that you don't block this experience, because you're only going to get a partial experience if you're only connecting with Yeshua, guides, angels, and that. You have to make a connection to Source. There are some common things, and I'm looking at notes. I wrote this out before the holidays. It's January 13th now, I think, when I'm recording this. And then Christmas happened and other stuff happened, and I just never got to it. So there's some common things that are going to block both the crown and the root. If you block the root, it's not going to come in fully to the crown. If you block the crown, it's not going to come fully into your physical experience. And I'll talk more about that later, but one of the very most common things is distrust of spirituality or divine guidance. I'll get into the more specifics later, but if you've had a problem with authority figures, could be a parent, could be a teacher, many, many things, and you're blocking that crown, children especially, parental figures, while they're real young, are like Source to them. And if they've got a cruel parent or something, they're going to block it for their own self-preservation. At the end of this video, I'm going to do a little prayer and meditation with the singing bowls that are going to help you to discover where you've cut off that connection. And it's often different than what you would think. So first of all, I'm going to talk about if your crown chakra is blocked or closed or disrupted. I don't think it can ever be completely closed. Some of the things that you would see. So you would see a person in fear or distrust of spirituality or religion, creation or authority figures. These people would question, who am I? Perceives authority outside of their self. They're seeking rather than allowing, and holds resentment towards authority figure. So that can be, a lot of this is the things we were taught when we were little, if we were in a traditional church. And we would see some, because if you block these energy vortexes or chakras, or they're blocked, not flowing properly, eventually it's going to manifest in a physical disease over time. So it could be things like migraines, stroke, anything that affects the head. If it's open and flowing, we are able to connect with the mind of the Creator and recognize ourselves as one with the Creator. And as I said, the crown chakra supplies energy to the human energy field. If you can see the color of it, it is purple. And this area contains your life purpose and your life plan. The main attribute you're going to see with this when it's open is people with an open crown chakra are claircognizant. They have clear knowing, aptitudes, and ingenuity. So remember, it comes in, crosses at the heart, goes down into the root. Now the root, if it's blocked, so your root is related to your home needs and possessions and security. And if your root is blocked for whatever reason, you're not able to bring in from source the knowingness of how to get you into a better situation. What supplies your physical reality? If you're blocking source, your physical reality is going to be diminished as well. It can result in illnesses, low vitality, poverty, lack. You wouldn't be able to recognize and take action that places you in alignment for good to come in your life. You would be experiencing separation. If it was open, you would, and the root chakra, you're going to see like a crimson red. If it's on a person who's somewhat blocked, it's going to be dull and muted, if you could see it. So if it's open, you would experience source on the physical level. You would be in tune with nature. You would have power, vitality, needs met, more quality in your life. Imagine a world where you think, I need a new car, with whatever you need it for, and that situation just lines up perfectly, and you find that, whether it's a used car, new car, whatever. And you can't block your crown for the root chakra to be open. So I'm just going to give you one really simple example. Years ago, out driving, it was really snowy out, and I went to stop at a stop sign, and my car didn't stop. It just kept going forward into the snowbank ahead of me, and I was stuck. Had to call a tow truck to get me out of there. But when that first happened, I thought, I need some people to help me push this out. No sooner did I think of that, and a man and a woman stopped by, tried to help. It was too stuck. They weren't able to. I thought, we need some big guys here to be able to do this. A couple minutes later, a couple big guys pull up. That was because I was just in flow that day. Okay. So that didn't work either. And I'm thinking, I need a tow truck. That's the only way. Well, then at that point, a police car pulled up. All these people were standing around. My car is in the snowbank. They said, what happened? I said, I tried to stop, and that's what happened. And they called a tow truck for us. So all these situations, just because I was in alignment and in flow, just with instantaneous, with thought, within like a minute or two, my needs were met. So you can place yourself in those positions if you are open and flowing. So if your crown and your root connection chakra are blocked, there's a couple examples I'm going to give of what could happen. So I've talked about this before, so excuse me if you've heard this story before, but just bear with me for a minute. Back when I first started doing hypnotherapy, I had one of the first clients I had was a woman who came in and she had ovarian cancer and she wanted to know the spiritual reason behind it. And this lady was Jewish, very religious, and so we did the hypnotic regression to find out where it was she cut herself off from source, because that's always the cause. And what we found was when she was a teenager, her and her brother had taken an elderly neighbor to some event or function. And it was raining a lot that night. And the roads were slippery. They got in an accident. And the older lady was injured very badly. And this young girl prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed that God would save her and she would be okay. Well, that did not happen, and the lady ended up dying. And so what it was this young girl was so mad at God, felt that she was failed, that she cut herself off from source and eventually developed ovarian cancer. And the interesting thing is, all of our organs have emotional functions, and the ovaries, what are they about? Creation, creating life. So she cut herself off at that creative function, blocking the energy to her ovaries. That's basically how it resulted. And so another person I'm going to tell you about, and this is someone I know, and first of all, I don't run around looking at people or people I know, what's wrong? How did they, unless I'm asked to, because it's not my business, but this information just came through. How did they get it to this point? So this person I know has severe migraines to the point that she has to be on anti-epileptic medication or she can't even function. And then, so that's crown chakra function. Then she's also got a problem with her root chakra function. You could see things like restless legs or Raynaud's. That's where your circulation is bad in your extremities. And she has it especially bad in her feet and her legs. And so I would have guessed this was about something else, but the information just came through. What it was, and all it was when this girl was little, maybe about 10 or 12, she used to see auras around people. She could actually see their energy field. And she didn't know much about it, but it scared her. So I don't know how she did it. She had told me about this years ago. She made it go away. Well, when she did that, she blocked her flow, resulting in migraines and Raynaud's. Now, this might have been something she was genetically predisposed to, especially the Raynaud's. I know she was. And what the difference would be is it most likely would have, had she not closed this off, she might not have developed either the migraines or the Raynaud's, even though it's in her genetics, or it would have been much less severe. So those are some of the things that can happen. As a child, she was very spiritually connected, and then she cut it off. So on to my next page of notes. Okay, so some more specific causes. Someone in survival mode or fight or flight represents unhealed trauma from authority figures, maybe unknown consciously. So that person being in fight or flight has cut off the crown chakra and the root chakra at the same time. Someone who's homeless or has housing insecurities, they're going to have a difficult time connecting to Source because their basic needs are not being met. And so in the root, it's people who can't put down roots are even more impacted because basically Source energy is a powerful charge, and that charge can't come in to an ungrounded person. Just like electricity, it wouldn't work, they'd burn out. So what I found interesting, my guides, which includes Yeshua and Mother Miriam, I talk to them all the time, mentioned that, like, I don't know if this is still a thing, but it probably is because of the housing situation in this country. But there's this thing called van life or RV life, and people who live in RVs and have to find parking lots to sneak into at night to sleep, or park it on a street. They're actually, because of their lifestyle, they're not putting down roots. So they're not going to have that full connection to Source because they're not fully rooted in. I found that very interesting. And I asked about, we've heard about nomadic people in history, groups of people that have just wandered and managed to make their way. Well, what they told me is we didn't always have all the interference that we have on this planet with people trying to take away your power and interfere with things. That's one thing. The other thing they mentioned is that even though these people didn't have a home, they were very connected to nature. And they were able to maintain that connection because they were so connected with nature. Now, people are really disconnected from their bodies and from nature. They wouldn't get, or they would have a hard time hearing from Source, guides, angels, whatever, what they need to do to put themselves in a better position. They also told me this is especially detrimental for child development. They see it as normal and are not able to develop their own self-preservation skills, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then I wrote down, I'm trying to think why I wrote this. For those with resentment towards authority figures, really examine the situation, because sometimes things can get locked into our memories and they're not exactly accurate. So when I'm done here, I'm going to do a little bit of a singing bowl meditation and a prayer, and we're going to just have you relax and have you bring to mind, and it might not happen right now, it might happen in a week or two, what it was, what that one thing was where you blocked off your connection to Source. Because as soon as you find that and start to deal with it, you can remake those connections a lot easier. And so in a minute, I'm going to pause and do that prayer meditation. If you're not interested in participating, just close when we start. And I just wanted to talk about the next video I'll be making has to do with the third eye and the sacral chakra, which is your magnetic body. So that's the next system we're going to talk about. And so for now, I'm going to just pause this and get set up with my singing bowls, what we're going to do. And before I forget, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'm basically teaching you how to heal yourself, because we're getting to a point where you cannot rely on others to do everything for you. You have to take the steps yourself. Okay, so we're going to start with that. And I want to remind you, my website is www.embody-light.com. I do have sessions available. I do hypnotherapy, energy healing. Anybody that does energy healing can unblock your chakras, myself included. So if you can't do this for yourself, find somebody that can help you. So I'm going to pause this, get my bowl set up, and we'll do this little meditation. So hang on just a minute. Okay, I'm back. I have everything set up. And the lighting's not the greatest in here because it's very early in the morning. It's easiest for me to make videos at this time of day before the neighborhood gets noisy and stuff. So I'm just going to go over this. I've got root chakra bowls, which is C. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And so if you're working with singing bowls, it's the C, the root chakra, that you want to use for physical things or low vitality, or if you know you're connected or you're not fully engaged in your crown, the root's going to help. So that's C. And then B is for the crown chakra. This is one of my alchemy bowls. It's called Ocean of Indium. And if you were to close your eyes while I was playing these, you'd probably see purple for this, if you are visual, and crimson for the root. So we've got that. Here's another one. I've got 3 of each. And then the heart. So what I'm going to have you do during this meditation and prayer is, I'm going to direct you in a minute, but I'm going to have you open a door. We're going to say a prayer for protection first, but I'm going to have you open a doorway at the top of your head at your crown chakra. And I'm going to have you imagine the energy coming in through the crown, crossing at the heart, and going down into the root. And when we do this, we're going to ask Source, Creator, to please reveal to you what it is, where you cut off your energy flow, what happened. And like I said before, it may come right away. You may know right away, or it may be a couple weeks. Maybe a chance conversation overheard, or a book you're led to read. So many ways the information can come through. So before we start, I'm just going to say a prayer for protection. Mother, Father, Abum, God. That's the Aramaic word for God. Please provide a multi-layer, multi-shield of protection around myself, my home, my city, around all of my family, all of the people who watch this video. And we're going to ground that into the earth and protect us from any infiltration entities, anything unwanted. And so it is. Okay. So just go ahead and follow along with me. So just take a nice deep breath in, and as you let it out, allow your eyes to close. Now bring your attention up to the top of your head and imagine opening a doorway in your consciousness, connecting you to your higher self, spirit, source, and the unconditional love grid. And what I'm going to have you do, bring this energy down. It separates, comes down to the heart, crosses at the heart, and then it flows down into your root chakra. So for the next few minutes, just let yourself get nice and deeply relaxed. Energy coming in through the crown, crossing at the heart, down into the root chakra. Remember a figure 8. source. It may happen immediately that you get that information, or it may take a little while. And also ask Source to provide you with some kind of insight as to how to heal that specific situation. So keep visualizing energy coming in at your crown, separating, going down through your heart, down into the root, connecting you to the earth, and then back up through the heart and into the crown. The doorway that we opened at the top of your head. And we're going to ask Source once again to please watch over and protect everyone who watches these videos, and please help them to gain the insight needed to start correcting this energy flow. Because once you connect your energy flow, things can totally change in the physical. So that being said, I love you all. Have a blessed day. I'll be back in a couple weeks or so with the next video. And also the other thing I wanted to mention, I made a series of sound recordings. If you listen to the one that's the crown, root chakra, play it daily, whatever, a couple times a day, that's going to help you to bring these awarenesses into your physical reality. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them and I'll address them. And again, my website is www.embody-light.com. If you'd like a session to help you with some of these things, go ahead and book a session. I love you all. Bye-bye.